And yes, we are so much glad that you're still watching Record TV on this Daybreaker show, of course, on this Thursday morning. As we always promise, we're always coming with the topic of discussion at the top of the hour of 8. And as I told you at the start, today we are discussing matters electricity. I know you have quite a lot of questions. I know you have quite so many things that you've been wondering about, especially in how you pay for that power, how you utilize it, how it is taxed, and of course, everything that goes around with it. And this is the very time that you have to keep it Record TV to get this information as we come through with this topical discussion. And we shall be talking matters totally electricity. And I'm so much glad that this morning I'm actually joined by Madam Stella Nachibuka. That is the communications officer from Electricity Regulatory Authority, and she's here, of course, to make a dissection and a deep dive into all these issues that you want to know. And you have to be reminded that ERA, of course, was established in 2000, and of course it goes around so many functions with regulations, production, how these companies get into electricity business, all that much more is what she's actually here to make a deep dissection into, and a deep dive for you to get the full understanding. So keep it Record TV as the discussion actually goes on for you to get this full information. I am still Thomas Taremwa here for you for the topical discussion. Well, a very good morning, Madam Stella, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Good morning, and good morning to our dear viewers.
Yes, we are so much glad this morning you're here to discuss issues that Ugandans have actually been wondering about, especially in relation to power tariffs and then how this electricity is utilized and so much more. But for someone who has not heard about ERA, someone who has not heard about Electricity Regulatory Authority, could wish to know more about it. What is Electricity Regulatory Authority?
Thank you, Thomas. First of all, I'd like to thank Record TV for giving ERA this opportunity to come and engage with our stakeholders on matters concerning the electricity sector. To answer the question on what is ERA or who ERA is, ERA is in full is Electricity Regulatory Authority. And ERA is a government body. It was created by an act of parliament, that is the Electricity Act of 1999, and its core mandate is to regulate the generation of electricity, the transmission of electricity, distribution of electricity, sale of electricity, export and importation of electricity in Uganda. In brief, that is what ERA stands for and its core mandate. Maybe Thomas and our dear viewers, if you can allow me to give you a brief history about ERA and before its existence, what really happened. Those of our viewers who have lived for quite long, they might be in the know that there was a company called Uganda Electricity Board. I'm sure you have also heard about it. Uganda Electricity Board. Before the year 2000, before the creation of the Electricity Regulatory Authority, it was in charge of generating electricity, transmitting electricity, and also distributing electricity. In short, it was a monopoly in the electricity sector. It was doing all the job of generating, transmitting, and distributing. So as we know that there are many disadvantages that are associated with a monopolist. Many of us who are going to commerce classes in O-level or somewhere, we know the advantages and the disadvantages of a monopolist. But for the case of Uganda Electricity Board, the disadvantages outweighed the advantages. So government thought it wise to do away with the disadvantages. And to mention a few of these disadvantages, we only had one electricity generation plant, that is the Owen Falls Dam in Jinja, and it was only generating 180 megawatts. Now you can imagine the electricity demand we have now if we still have a generation of 180 megawatts. Definitely we cannot say that it would have been sufficient. So there was no generation of electricity. In terms of transmission of electricity, there was only 730 kilometers of the transmission network. So you can see how many kilometers are there in Uganda. You can see that it was just a small portion of Uganda that was connected to electricity. And in terms of distribution, we only had households that were connected to electricity, only 290. Just imagine how many households are there in Uganda They are very many, because if we are a population of approximately 40 million people, so it means the households are more. So during the days of UEB, we only had 290 households connected to electricity. That was quite low. So government came up with reforms in the electricity sector. So the reforms included enactment of the Electricity Act of 1999, and that act mandated the creation of Electricity Regulatory Authority. But before the creation of Electricity Regulatory Authority, UEB, Uganda Electricity Board, it was unbundled. By unbundling, I mean it was cut into segments. It was cut into 3 segments, the first segment being the generation segment, and a company called Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, UEGCL. I'm sure you have heard about it. Yes, it was created to be in charge of generating electricity. And then another company called Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited was also carved out of UEB to be in charge of transmission of electricity to the entire country. And Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, UEDCL. I'm sure you have heard about these 3 companies. Yes, so UEDCL was created to be in charge of distributing electricity in Uganda. The major aim of coming up with all these reforms was to improve service delivery in the electricity sector, to make sure that Ugandans who need electricity can be connected, and they can either use it in their home states or they can have it for business purposes. So after the disbanding of Uganda Electricity Board, there was a need now to create an overseer to see the operations of all these 3 companies, and that overseer is the Electricity Regulatory Authority. It's at the top, and these 3 companies are at the bottom here. It's the one that regulates these 3 companies. It oversees whatever is done in these 3 companies. In short, it's the one that issues operational license to these 3 companies. So Electricity Regulatory Authority was created to regulate or to oversee the operations of these companies. So as I mentioned, that our core mandate is to regulate the sector. So by regulation, what do we mean? By regulation, we mean issuing licenses to the companies that are in the sector, that in the electricity supply industries. So there are many companies that in the generation segment. Yes, I have said there is Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, but there are very many other generation companies. I can give you an example that we now have 41 companies that are generating electricity. They are constructed across the country. Some are in the north, some are in the east, some are in the south, southwest, even here in the central. We have those companies. Maybe I can give an example. In the far east, as you approach Kenya border, there is a district called Bukwo. We have 2 generating companies or power dams. That is a City 1 and City 2. When you come closer in parts of Soroti, we have a solar power plant there called Access Solar Uganda. And then we also have another solar power plant in Tororo. It called Tororo Solar North. We have another solar power plant in Bufubira. Then when you come closer, we have Bujagali. And here in Central, we have Isimba in Kayunga. We have a solar power plant in Bukabula Soke, Gomba. Yes. So there are many other power plants that are scattered all over there. So all those power plants get operational licenses from the Electricity Regulatory Authority. Then the transmission company, that one is one company. Yeah. The rest of the segments, they have different companies, but for the transmission, it's only one company. We call it a single buyer. Government thought that it would remain one to be efficient and to make sure that each and everything moves on well in that segment of transmission. So it's only Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited that is dealing with transmitting electricity to the rest of the country. However, in our new plans, As the Electricity Regulatory Authority, we are encouraging private investors to come and invest in the transmission segment, such that the entire country can be connected to electricity. Concerning the distribution segment, there are many companies that are distributing electricity in Uganda. Apart from Umeme, there are some other companies. We have a company in Kalangala, on the islands in Lake Victoria. It's called Kalangala Infrastructure Services Limited. We have a company that is distributing electricity in the parts of Chegegwa, some parts of Kayunga, some parts of Mubende, called Crex. We have another company in West Nile called Wenreco. We have another company called Parkmix. There are many companies. Umeme controls more than 95% of the transmission, rather on the distribution network. But there are also some other distribution companies, as I have just mentioned. So in brief, the companies I have mentioned in the three segments, they get licenses from Electricity Regulatory Authority. Then there are intending developers. ERA is there to receive those applications. You know, when you are a developer, now like Thomas, you can say that you want to construct a power plant. What you do is that you come and look into our archives. You know, we do research. There is a full unit in Electricity Regulatory Authority that is concerned with doing research, seeing which river has the potential for generating electricity. So if you're an intending developer, you can come and get information from us, and then you submit your application to generate electricity. So we issue with a permit. We first issue with a permit, and then you go and do more of the feasibility studies. When you come to us and you really confirm that you can generate electricity from a certain river, then we go ahead and issue to you the license to go and construct that plant. But before we issue that license to you, there are terms and conditions we issue on this license, and we make sure that you follow the terms and conditions to the dot. If the terms and conditions are not followed, then we can either terminate your license, we can either modify, because there are many factors that can make a developer or an investor not to comply with the terms and conditions. So we look at those factors. Is it possible for us to modify, or it's just a something that it cannot be rectified? So if something it cannot be rectified, then we just terminate your license. So we give out licenses, we prescribe terms and conditions, and we also monitor the implementation or compliance to those terms and conditions. Now, I think what I'm going to mention is now interesting to our dear viewers, is the issue of setting electricity tariffs. Many of our viewers might have been knowing that it's the distribution companies that, like Umeme, who set the electricity tariffs. No, it's the Electricity Regulatory Authority mandated by the Electricity Act to set the electricity tariffs. We look at many things when we are setting the electricity tariffs. We look at the cost of generating electricity, we look at the cost of transmitting electricity, and we look at the cost of distributing electricity. So we come up with an electricity tariff. So the tariffs are in different categories, because we also have consumers in different categories. We have domestic consumers, that might be you and me, consumers that use electricity in our homes. Then we have commercial consumers, businesses, small businesses, salons, those small businesses. And then we have consumers in what we call the medium category, small industries, and then we have large industries and extra large industries. So the tariffs vary depending on the category of the consumer. So right now, a domestic consumer is paying 750.9 shillings per unit of electricity, consumed. But before paying that 750, there is what we call a lifeline tariff. A lifeline, a lifeline. Lifeline. Yes, tariff. As the name goes, lifeline. It means it's there to help someone who might be struggling to use electricity. Yes, in Uganda we call them mufuna mpola, oba omuntu asookerwako, oba omuntu owa bulijjo. Yes, so that lifeline tariff, the way it works is that the first 15 minutes you purchase in a month, it's rated at 250 shillings, not 1,000. 250 shillings. So when you buy 15 units, let me say at the beginning of every month, you get the 15 units at 250 shillings, and then the rest of the units above 15, then you buy them at 750. As I said, the Lifeline tariff is there to help someone who might not having so much money to consume a lot of electricity. You can find that in the villages, or even here in Kampala, there are very many people who can survive on using only 15 units. Yes, like I once used 15 minutes to just be with electricity. Like if you're just yes, you're just ironing, you're just watching TV, you're not cooking on electricity, using electricity, then that 15 minutes, they should be enough for you. So you see that the issue of now saying that electricity tariffs are so high does not apply.
Now, on that very same issue,
yes.
Of course, thank you so much for this discussion, because it's actually covering most of the parts that people actually wanted to hear about. But in regulation, just like you talked about, regulating the people that take part in the distribution and take part in business of electricity, and then on these prices. And you mentioned that each unit actually goes for 750 Uganda shillings. Now, someone out there might be wondering, Uganda is actually the biggest source of electricity in the surrounding. We export electricity, we give Kenya electricity. Here, we are still at 750 Uganda shillings. Isn't that, because this is the same company that comes in, and people are saying the 750 is actually a lot for a country that has the biggest part of the production of power, and for a country that actually exports power. And they thought it would be a little more cheaper than this. And just like you mentioned, what we call omuntu awansi, or us, the usual people, we would actually wish to have something less than this, because we are the producers of this electricity. So isn't the 750 a little higher? And as the body that regulates, are you thinking of any possible reductions to cater for everyone that wants to use electricity, or you're only leaving the advantage of the 250 shillings at the beginning of the month?
Thank you, Thomas. Actually, making sure that we have the lowest tariff possible is one of our Electricity Regulatory Authority's focus area. We have a 5-year strategic plan. So one of our focus areas is having affordable tariffs. Someone can say that something affordable is relative. I can say 750 is affordable. To me, when someone else says
Cannot afford it,
it's not affordable. But there is a research we made, as I said, that we have a unit in the Electricity Regulatory Authority that is concerned with doing research. There is a research that was made, and it was to find out what we call affordability. And that 750 fell into that category of affordability. However, as I said, that one of our focus areas in the next 5 years is to make sure that the tariffs are affordable, because we have been getting this question now and again from our stakeholders wherever we have an opportunity to interact with them. The tariff is high, but here we are saying we have the Lifeline tariff, and also we are making sure that even the 750 comes down. Well, I can say that we are on the journey to having the tariffs really low. Like I can give you an example that we have already achieved the presidential target of $5 cents. You remember when the president was asking Electricity Regulatory Authority to make sure that manufacturers consume electricity at the lowest price of $5 cents, something like that. So I can assure you that we have already surpassed that, because I can say that in the East African region, our manufacturers are the ones that are consuming electricity at the lowest price. Right now, it's a unit at off-peak, and by the extra large consumers. They are large consumers, but still they are divided into some sub-categories. So for the extra large consumers, they are now consuming electricity at 179 Ugandan shillings. Really, that is quite cheap. So the advantage of us having low tariffs is that for the case of manufacturers, they can manufacture more, and the prices of the commodities in the market, they can be low, meaning they are competitive. Like if someone has used cheap electricity to produce a bar of soap, it will not be at the same price as someone who has produced electricity, or rather produced that bar of soap at a higher tariff. So our target is to make sure that the tariffs are really low, such that the commodities in the market are competitive, and also more people consume electricity. And we are optimistic that the more the tariffs go down, the more people get connected to electricity, and also that one triggers having the tariffs really low, because the more they consume, the more the tariffs go down. Yeah. But we are on the journey of making the tariffs really low.
It will actually be so welcome, because that's what every Ugandan is actually waiting for, so that at one point in time this tariff can actually shift from 750, maybe it comes to 500, and then someone can be able to use as much electricity as they want.
Yes.
Now by 2016, almost 18% of the people living in the villages were connected to the power grid. They were using electricity. That was way back in 2016. Any improvements or any increment as of now by 2020, do we have more villages that are connected to this power grid? And how is the usage now, in particular with the rural areas?
Okay, right now, as we stand, the rate of access to electricity is 51%. As you said, it was 18%. So right now we stand at 51%.
That is in the rural areas?
Across the country, yes. That is a countrywide rating, so 51%. So we are actually looking at having a universal connection by 2040, according to the national the development plan 3. Yes, so we are targeting to have everyone in the country connected to electricity, because the fact is that we have enough electricity in Uganda. Actually, we even have more than enough.
We have excess.
Yes, we do have excess electricity. And then someone might come up and say that if we do have excess electricity, why is it so expensive?
Exactly.
So yes, we do have enough electricity, actually excess electricity, but it's for purposes of planning. I'll just give you an example that we are looking at Uganda become an industrialized country. So what if industries or investors come and then we do not have electricity? That can be a disaster. So we are looking at plans ahead. If industries come, we have enough electricity to cater for each and everyone, instead of again going back to the days of load shedding. You remember the days of load shedding? 2012, 2013, it wasn't really good. I used to be in Luweero, but it was really painful. We could spend the entire week without having electricity. Rationing electricity. Today you give Luweero, the other time you give Nakasongola, it was really painful. So that kind of situation is no longer existing in Uganda, and as I said, the reason as to why we have excess electricity is because we are looking ahead. When industrialists come here, because there are now industrial parks that are coming up in different parts of the country. Actually, if you look at Bombo Road, I don't know if you use that route, but there are a lot of industries that are coming up on Bombo Road. So all those industries need electricity. They're just waiting to be connected. They're just waiting to be finished in terms of construction and setting up, and then they get connected to electricity. So the issue of having surplus electricity should not worry any of our viewers or any of the Ugandans.
And well, now that we've started, of course, talking about rural electrification and how this is getting connected to the power grid, there has been an allegation and maybe a complaint that I have actually personally heard from my close people that when there is a rural electrification and this is getting connected to power, there is some good money that they have to pay. So someone would need to get a clarification of, if I'm getting connected to the pole, or if I'm getting power, if my house is getting connected, how much do I actually pay? Is this payment even legal, or am I being overcharged? So if you would maybe give us a brief on how these expenses go, and then how much someone should be charged in the village when they are getting connected, and how much they should not exceed.
Okay, Thomas, we need to appreciate that having electricity, first of all, is not something cheap. And actually, I believe you're coming from a point of the electricity connection charges that were published in December. I hope so, because we have had many complaints about these charges. The charges are too high. But as I've said, we need to appreciate that getting connected to electricity is really expensive. And we also need to appreciate that government used to subsidize a lot. Before the free connections, consumers could get connected to electricity. Like if you did not need a pole, you could not spend more than between 100 and 150 to get a connection without a pole. You just had to get a solido. You just had to wire your house using a certified electrician. By the way, we as an authority, it's us who gives out the permits to the electricians. We call them the power couples. If time allows, we'll go and also explain what a power couple. So now back to connections. As I was saying, before you could, if you did not need a pole, you could just get you between 120, 150, and then you get a connection. But right now, you need something like 700 to get a connection. Yes, that's
with a pole.
No, that is without a pole. With a pole, it's above that. Actually, I would refer our viewers that you can check out our website on www.era.go.ug. These charges are stipulated on our website, so you can see whether you need a pole, how much money you're supposed to pay. If you do not need a pole, how much money you're supposed to pay. If you want to be connected to 3-phase heavy, 3-phase light, all those charges are highlighted on our website. But the charges, yes, they are quite expensive, but as I told, our viewers need to understand or need to appreciate that government used to subsidize a lot. Just imagine from 120, between 120 now to 700, meaning government was paying all that money.
Almost 600.
So now you mentioned that are these charges legitimate? Yes, they are. The Electricity Act of 1999 gives the mandate to Electricity Regulatory Authority to set the electricity-related charges. First, the tariffs and the charges. And the charges include now the connection charges. So it's not illegal. These charges, actually, the reason as to why they were published is that we wanted people to know that the charges are legitimate and they can go ahead and pay them. However, there is good news. I can call it good news, that the free connections, you remember the free connections, that program that was launched in 2018 by the Vice President, Honorable Edward Kasekandi in the district of Kasese. They launched that free connections program, but because of issues of COVID and the funding somehow got disturbed, so government in the middle, actually last year, before December, yes, the program was put on hold, but right now I would like to say to our viewers that the program is back. So if someone cannot afford the 700 plus to get a connection without a pole, they can wait and be connected under the free connections policy. Or if they do have the money to connect, then they can go ahead, because the free connections are running concurrently with someone who can manage to pay the connection. So if someone cannot afford, they can wait for the free connections. If they can afford, they can go ahead and pay to the electricity distributor, and then they get their connection.
And now I was looking at actually 750 or 780 to the person that lives in the village, and then they want to get connected to the power grid, and it was a little confusing. I thought we shall maybe dissect so much more about that when we return from a very short break that we are going for. And then of course we shall be discussing also something about power outages, and then we can go in for focus areas, and most importantly what people want to hear is the plan next, and that is something that we shall be diving into after the very short break. We are so much glad you're still watching Record TV. That's the Dave Blake Show, and of course we are here for a topical discussion. We are talking about electricity, and we are so much glad you're still watching and getting informed at this very point in time. Now we are running for a very short break, and when we return, much more that you have been asking about is actually coming your way. Keep it Record TV, The Breaker Show.
miss on Record TV. Don't miss Echo Clinic on Record TV.
And we are so much glad that you're still tuned into Record TV and watching the Daybreaker Show and following the discussion here about matters electricity, and that is the topical discussion that we promised to bring you live here from the Record TV studios live in Kamoch. And of course, as I told you, we are being joined by Madam Stella Nachibuka, that is the Communications Officer of Electricity Regulatory Authority, giving you details and of course explaining what you have been asking about and getting you updated on how electricity issues go around in this country. You know, she talked about matters prices, and that is something that you have always asked about, and I hope you've got a clarification and much more issues actually being raised under coming. And before we went for the break, we were talking about the 780,000 that someone needs, you know, to pay to get connected to the general grid, and that is if someone is not actually patient enough to wait for the free connection that will be coming into the villages. Now, in that particular manner, one, you said if someone cannot pay the 780, then they can be patient enough to wait for the free connection by a government. Should we imagine that the connection that was given to Kasese, that is the free connection, will eventually go to all the villages in Uganda? And then if no, then what happens when someone is in the village but then they wish to use electricity and they cannot afford the 780 to pay for the connection?
Thank you, Thomas. Like I said, we are targeting to have universal connection, meaning that everyone in Uganda is being targeted to be on the grid, even those who are on off-grid. Our target is to make sure that everyone is connected to electricity. So the connections that are made in Kasese are going to be the same connections that are going to be made in Bundibujo, are the ones that are going to be made in Arua, are the ones that are going to be made here in Wakiso or Kampala also. It's the same. So everyone is going to get, though it will be in a phased manner. Actually, the return of the connections, the free connections, it's going to be in I can call them segments. Now, like before it's halting, everyone was getting connected. Actually, if someone was within a radius of 90 meters from the pole, yes, you would get freely connected. So right now, what is going to happen when the free connections practically resume is that the distributors, those are the electricity distribution companies, the ones I mentioned, they are first going to connect people who are in rural areas who had applied for free connections but without a pole. Yes, someone who did not need a pole, but he had requested for a free connection. When the free connections resume, those are the first ones who are going to first be looked at. They are the ones that are first going to be connected. Then after them, the ones who need the pole, they will also be connected. But as I said, if someone cannot wait for the free connections, they are free to go ahead and pay the money and get connected. Yes.
All right, that is a clarification there on how the 780 is actually paid and how you get connected to the power grid. That is if you need power in your location. And of course, no doubt you need power because everything now we are doing actually needs power and you need to get connected. Now, I thought we would maybe throw 1 minute to the power outages and then we go to the cores they are in. Now, especially here in Kampala, people are always giving an example of Nigeria, and it is now well known for having power outages. Like power is on today and then power is off tomorrow, or it goes for 2 days, something like that. I don't know if this also falls within the mandate of ERA, but if it does, how is this and then why is it like this? And yet you actually mentioned that we have excesses of power here in Uganda.
Yes, Thomas. The issue of power outages, yeah, it's really true. As you have said, Nigeria, I've also been having hearing about Nigeria. I do not reside in Nigeria, but I know, or we know that there are some power issues in Nigeria. So, as I said, that one of our focus areas, our focus areas, one is affordability of tariffs, and another one is reliability and quality of service. So we are looking at having more investments into the distribution infrastructure to make sure that whatever is trying to disturb power reliability in places of Nigeria and even other places, those things get rectified and everyone gets to enjoy electricity consumption. So the issue of power outages, it's really there, we cannot deny, but we are working towards resolving each and everything that is concerning reliability and quality of service. Actually, of recent, we had a campaign which we named Power 24/7, meaning that electricity has to be on 24 hours, 7 days a week. So we are looking at how to make the infrastructure more efficient, because most of the time when there are power outages, it goes to the inefficiencies in the distribution infrastructure. So we are looking at investing more in the distribution infrastructure so that we have good transformers. If we are to inject more transformers in a certain area for people to have more electricity or enough electricity, yes, we are looking at really injecting more money or investing in the distribution sector, such that people do not cry over power outages and reliability and poor quality of service.
All right, that there is also a clarification on power outages. Now, I thought we would talk about, we would say something about the Women in Energy project, and then from there we can head to the core areas, just like you mentioned. So something about Women in Energy. You mentioned something about it in brief, and maybe a woman out there would actually wish to know, how is this project running? How does someone get to be part of it? How is it beneficial? And who actually is entitled to it? Only women or any other person? So that is a clarification that I would like to have on that.
Okay, Women in Energy is a project that is steered by ladies or women leaders in the electricity sector. I can say that as a woman, I can say we are blessed, because if you look at the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, it's headed by a woman, Honorable Kitutu, Mary Goretti.
Yeah.
And then also we have Honorable Opendi, is also a lady. So when it comes to Electricity Regulatory Authority, our Chief Executive Officer, Engineer Zilia Tibalwawako, is a lady. When you come to the board, ERA board, it's also headed by a lady, that is Dr. Sarah Wasagali Kanabi. No, we are not having a monopoly. We are just happy about it. It's not to make men to feel something that maybe they are left out. No, yeah, I can say that everything has its own time.
Yeah.
Probably this is the time for women in energy.
Yes.
And that project is, as I said, it's steered by women leaders in the electricity sector. So the major aim of Women in Energy project, actually, it's part of our corporate social responsibility as Electricity Regulatory Authority. So the major aim is to encourage the girl child to be in school, study, in particular science courses. Maybe someone can say a don't, people who did not study science work in the energy sector. Yes, they do work, but this one in particular is to encourage girls to study science courses, to become engineers, to become technicians, to become people who can work in science-related jobs. So what we do, we go out to schools, especially secondary schools, girls' secondary schools. Like when we were launching the program, we launched it in Zambia, St. Peter's in Zambia. It's our minister by then, Honorable Moloni, is the one who launched this project in St. Peter's in Zambia. So we've been moving to different schools, Tororo girls, Chebambe, and many other girls' schools. So we go as women who work in the energy sector. We inspire the girls. We tell them our stories. That even if you're looking at me, looking like this, I'm the CEO, but I was once like you. I used to study so hard. So we do get to inspire them, such that they stay in school, they stay focused. You know, there is this kind of mentality that women or girls or ladies do not have what it takes to become an engineer. Actually, because of that mentality, many girls shun science subjects. So we do encourage them to study the science courses so that when they grow up, they graduate, they can be working in the energy sector, they can be working in the medicine, they can be working in all science-related related jobs or related fields. So the Women in Energy project is basically concerned about a girl child coming up and then becoming someone who can work in the science-related jobs.
Okay, in short, exclusively that is for girls and women. And when you go to these schools, you only talk to the girls or you talk to the general school? And then for a girl that takes interest in you, does it only stop at getting encouraged, for that person to study to be like you, or there are incentives that you're giving to a few of these girls to enable them which way you want them to be?
Okay, as I said, it's specifically for girls. So we target schools that are girl related. Like I said, St. Peter's in Zambia, Tororo girls. Yes. Girls. So when we are talking to them, of course, there are male teachers there. So we do not say that for you are a male, don't come to listen to us. No. So we talk to the entire school. So meaning we do not discriminate while talking. For the incentives, as you mentioned, there is a program which we call Apprenticeship Program. Every year, the sector takes up 100 girls. Those are the ones that are already graduating, or the ones that have already graduated. So we take them as graduate trainees. They can come and work at ERA or other companies in the electricity sector. Like they are the ones who are working in Mumeme, the ones who are working in the generation companies, the 41 I mentioned. So they can work like for 1 year or 2 years. If the opportunity comes up and there is a job that is being advertised, priority can be given to that girl who has been working as a graduate trainee. So there is that incentive. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for the clarification. Now, we have a few minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and I thought we would actually divide this to these core areas, and we shall be discussing achievements and focus areas. But first, you'd throw some light about the focus areas, what you intend to do, and then as we conclude, you'll have to tell us, these achievements that ERA has done, and of course, the general body of electricity has done that always make you proud when you talk about them. And so much. Right now, we can go in for the focus areas.
Okay, as I mentioned, we have what we call a 5-year strategic plan. And what we are looking at 3 major areas. One is affordability of the tariffs. You remember we said that our electricity consumers are complaining that tariffs are really high. So under affordability, under affordable tariffs, we are looking at how to lower the tariffs. Remember we said that we have excess electricity. So we are encouraging investors to come and invest, to come and put up industries such that electricity can be consumed, and as a result of consuming that electricity, the tariffs can go down, and we stop complaining of so much high tariffs. So we are looking at the affordability of tariffs, and we are hoping that after at the end of the 5 years, we should really be having the tariffs that Ugandans, might be comfortable with. So another focus area is about reliability and quality of service, like how we mentioned the unreliable power supply in Nigeria. Yeah, there are some other areas that are also crying of the same. So we are looking at how we can improve reliability and quality of service. By quality of service, what do I mean? Electricity is not supposed to go off, as I said, power 24/7. But is it of quality? Is it high voltage? Is it low voltage? Because I'm sure there are our viewers out there who might have experienced issues to do with poor voltage. You know, if you're having poor voltage, you can end up losing all of your electricity appliances. So we are looking at having quality of service and quality of supply, at the same time reliability. We do not want electricity to be going on and off, and just in case that electricity is unreliable, is the electricity distributor in position to inform you that this power is now going off? You know, some power outages are caused by genuine reasons. Let me say maintenance of the network, maybe there is a faulty transformer somewhere, or a pole has fallen. So those are genuine reasons, and definitely electricity has to be off if such a thing happens. So when such a thing happens, the electricity distribution is supposed to inform the people who are going to be affected by sending out SMSs. I'm sure some of our viewers have been receiving these SMSs. The power is going to be off in Nigeria, some power is going to be off in Nansana, something like that. So they have to be informed. All that is included in our campaign of quality of service and reliability of supply. So we're also hopeful that by the end of the 5 years, we would have achieved that target. Then another target is accelerated access and the growing of electricity demand. So under accelerated access, first of all, as I said, we, the Electricity Regulatory Authority, we are the ones who issue permits to the electricians. Maybe now I can talk about who a power couple is. A power couple is an electrician, a trained professional electrician who has been trained, who has been interviewed by Electricity Regulatory Authority, and they have received an electrical installation permit. These permits are issued every year, so they have a time frame of 1 year. Like if you get it in January, it expires in December, then you have to renew it. So now there is a difference between a power couple and a kamyufu. I'm sure you have ever had something like a kamyufu. So a kamyufu is an electrician. You know, the job of being an electrician. Someone can learn a job.
Yeah.
You can be here. I have interest. I come with you. You are a certified electrician. You are a power couple. A power couple is a certified electrician. Yes, I have interest. I come with you. We go to someone's house. You start wiring. As I look. So after some time, I gain the skills. I gain the knowledge. I also start thinking that I can go and wire. Yeah. Actually, they can go and wire, but that is dangerous because right now we have our legal department. There is, we even have CID police and ARA. So if we find you wiring consumers' houses without our permit, just be sure that we are going to arrest you. We are going to put you in prison, something that is really not nice because we are not there to imprison people. But what we do, we encourage them to come, and apply for permits, and then they become certified. Actually, there is a training that is ongoing. Yes, that training is supported by the World Bank. We encourage everyone who has the knowledge, but you have to be with at least a certain qualification. We do not pick you from scratch. You have to be with at least a certificate, and then we train you. We give you an interview. If you pass the interview, you become a certified power couple. Actually, the list of certified power couples are on our website.
Okay.
Yes.
I would have asked you how someone becomes part of that, but because of time, I think we need to dive into the the achievements that ERA, as a body has done. And I thought you'd talk about these achievements that you also mentioned and feel like, okay, I think ERA has performed, and for this time, from 2000 up to this time, this is the greatest achievement we've done, and we have helped the country in this very manner, so that people can know what ERA has done and what it intends to do as just we wrap up the show.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. As I said, there are three segments in the electricity sector: the generation sector, the transmission sector, and the distribution sector. So the achievements in the generation sector, as I said before, that is before 2000. We only had one power generating plant. That is Kira, or what we used to call Owen Falls Dam. It was only generating 180 megawatts. But right now, we are boasting of having 41 power plants scattered across Uganda. And those power plants are generating 1,268.9 megawatts. From 180 to 1,268.9 megawatts. Isn't that an achievement? So we have enough power. Yes, so we are proud of that as an achievement. When you look at the transmission segment, before ERA was created, we only had 730 kilometers of the network length, transmission network length. But right now, we are in 3,322 kilometers. That is quite big. We are proud of that achievement. And as I said, we are encouraging more private investors to come and invest in the transmission network. So yeah, we take that one as also as an achievement. So when it comes to the distribution segment, has many achievements. I'll mention something to do with power loss, because power loss is one of the issues that make the electricity tariffs go high. Because as I said, the investors bring in their money. So either they have to recover their money, and it's within ERA's mandate to set what we call reasonable tariffs. So yes, reasonable tariffs that can give reasonable profit to the investor. So when there is a lot of power losses, meaning the consumer is going to pay more to cover the generation, transmission, distribution, irrespective of the losses whether. So now, for the case of a power loss, before ERA, the losses were at 34.4%, but right now we have gone down to 16%, and we're even looking at a lower percentage of 13%. Yes, we would want 0%, but it's not also an easy task, because issues of vandalism, issues of power theft. Power theft is one of the issues that cause power losses. But we have moved from 34% to 16%. So when you look at the number of households connected to the grid, from 290 to 1,620,505 households right now. Isn't that a big achievement? Yes, we are very proud of that. When you look at access to electricity, from 10% to now 51%, yes, we are really proud of that. And then something that we're really, really proud of, Uganda has been ranked the third time for having the best regulatory framework when it comes to regulating utilities, in particular electricity.
Wow.
Yes, so we are also very proud of that achievement.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, that has been a very deep discussion on matters electricity. And you had all these clarifications coming in through from Madam Stella Nachibuka, the Communications Officer of ERA, that is Electricity Regulatory Authority. Of course, giving you details. I hope we've answered everything that you have been asking about. The questions you sent my inbox and everything that you wish to talk about has actually been addressed by Madam Stella Nachibuka. Now, as we wrap up the show, if you have any other closing remark that you would wish to make to the viewers, and then we call it a day.
Thank you, Thomas. My closing remarks would be in a form of informing our dear viewers that we have what we call consumer protection. It's under our mandate as the Electricity Regulatory Authority. Consumer protection is concerned with making sure that rights of electricity consumers are not violated. Maybe our viewer can be asking, what are the rights of electricity consumers? An electricity consumer has a right to be connected to electricity within a specific time. We do not have time. I would have elaborated more on the standards. Yes, but you have a right to be connected to electricity. Yes, you have a right to receive an electricity bill. Those of our viewers who are still on postpaid, yes, where they have a meter, then you consume, and then someone comes and reads the meter. So you have a right to receive a bill every month. If the worst comes to the worst, you receive a bill within 3 months, but it doesn't have to exceed. Whenever it exceeds, you have to raise a complaint. Even connection, when they do not connect you and you feel you're not satisfied with the reasons they are giving, you have a right to complain. But since we do not have a lot of time, rights come with obligations. Yes, so an electricity consumer has an obligation not to tamper with electrical installation, not to steal electricity, to cooperate with electricity distribution companies to iron out certain issues. Yes, so when electricity consumers feel that they are not satisfied with the distribution companies, they can give us a call, and then we receive their complaints, and we see how we can resolve them. I'm going to give them our contact numbers such that if there is any complaint, they can call us. But before our viewers call us on issues to do with electricity or complaining, my meter is faulty, I have been overbilled, power is never on, they have to first call the distribution company in their area. If it's here, it's Umeme that supplies electricity here. So they can call Umeme first before they call us, because as the regulators, we are not the first point of contact. So in case of any unresolved electricity complaints, we call them unresolved. Reason, if they do not get resolved by the distributor, then they become unresolved, and we only handle unresolved complaints. And we even have to get a reference number from the distributor, or the complainant has to be the reference number from the distributor for us to really confirm that there was a discussion between the complainant and the distributor. So if in case of any unresolved electricity complaint, they can call us on 0200 506 000. Maybe I can repeat it.
Yes, please.
0200 506 000. They can also reach us on WhatsApp. We have a WhatsApp number. You can send a WhatsApp message, or you can send a normal SMS. You can send it on 0776 188 188 0776 188 188. Someone one time told me that I speak so fast, so we have
actually put the number on their screen, and they're actually able to do it.
Yes, then that is better. Then we are also on Facebook. If you have a Facebook account, you can just search Electricity Regulatory Authority, and you get us. You can inbox us your issue. If we are in position to get it resolved there and then, we can resolve it. If we see that it needs to be resolved by the distributor, then we send you back to the distributor. And then, basically, we are located on plot 15, Shimon Road, in Nakasero. Our building is called Era House. What I can say is that it's within our mandate to serve the electricity sector in all ways possible.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, and we are so much glad that you came through to give these clarifications on issues that have been affecting the population. Most questions that people have been asking about, you have actually answered them, and then also for the number that will always contact you in case they have unresolved issues, and what they have to mark is actually the word unresolved. Well, we are so much glad, and thank you so much. Well, and to our dear viewer, we are so much glad you're still watching Record TV, and you tuned in from morning up to this time to watch the Daybreaker Show, and of course to wait for the topical discussion and have your issues talked about here. We've been talking matters electricity, and I've been joined, previously, and right now I am still with Madam Stella Nachbuka from ERA, and that is Electricity Regulatory Authority, of course, making a clarification on all issues that you have been asking about. We are so much glad. Thank you so much for watching Record TV. We come to the end of the topical discussion, but what you don't have to forget is that coming up, we shall be having a press review with events that are rising in the newspapers and events that are eventually shaping your morning and your week, and then later on we shall go in for the sports updates with